Hi guys, it's Sunday again and let's get back to our sweet little traditions. What we usually do on Sunday. Great, we go hiking. And today, while we are going hiking, I'm gonna tell you about some things you should never ever do in Iceland. Yes, getting back to our other sweet tradition, what you should never do in different countries today. Let's talk about Iceland and those things you should never ever do there in order to save your money or save you from embarrassment or even keep you safe from harm. Let's jump in right away. Number one, and layers matter. And you better always have your coat with you. The weather in Iceland can change dramatically several times during a single day. While most days, summertime in Iceland are quite predictable. Still, you can experience some sunshine in the morning, lots of rain in the afternoon, and snowfall in the evening, adding crazy winds. On top of that, this weather pattern is even more common and extreme during the winter, with the occasional snowstorm for fun. So even if the weather looks fabulous from your hotel window, you should still bring your warm coat for that trip to Gullfoss or Geyser or to any other trip around Iceland. Bring your warm coat with you always. Number two, never underestimate the weather in Iceland. The temperature range is not drastic. It can go up to plus 20 degrees Celsius during summer months, and winter time it doesn't usually go below minus 15 degrees Celsius. Average temperature in Iceland is usually plus 10 degrees Celsius during summer and minus 1 degree Celsius during the winter. There is a very little snow in Iceland on average, despite its name. What's really challenging in Iceland though, it's the wind. Tourists should expect constant winds nearby the sea, from mild gusts to blowing gales. Further inland, the winds are a little lighter unless you're going to highlands, where they can blow fearlessly. There are obviously some days in Iceland when the air is calm, but they are so rare that should never be counted on. Icelandic winds are also the main reason why your umbrella will be absolutely useless here. An umbrella in Iceland is not only likely to be wrenched out of your hands by the wind, but it will never fully protect your body from all this rain surrounded by winds either. Simply by bringing appropriate gear, you can head out rain or shine, no matter the season. Waterproof and windproof outer layers, woolen jumpers, thermal underwear, hats, gloves and sturdy hiking shoes are sufficient to protect you from most conditions at the land of ice and fire. As my most favorite saying goes, there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Number three, don't get caught in the dark or light. The amount of daylight you experience in Iceland might be drastically different from the amount of daylight you used to. During the months of June and July, it's almost never gets dark, while in the months of December and January, it gets dark at 3:30 p.m. already and stays dark until 11:30 next day. So from mid-May to mid-August, the sun goes down just for a few hours, which means it stays daylight almost all the time. And this is the main reason why the tourists should always bring their sleeping masks together with them to Iceland to help them sleep. Midwinter is a polar opposite, with about 5 hours of daylight at max every day. And coming to point number four, don't forget your sleeping mask. It's not even 6 p.m. but it's already getting dark, so guys, I'm sorry, I have no choice, I'm bringing you inside. And don't forget your sleeping mask. During the spring and summer in Iceland, the sun sets just for a few hours every night. Although the bright Icelandic nights do have their appeal. I'm a big fan of midnight sun myself. But I've had some tourists complaining about having difficulties to sleep. Most hotels have blinds and curtains, but sometimes it's simply not enough. You will not regret bringing your sleeping mask with you when you find yourself waking up at 3 in the morning because bright rays of the sun somehow found that little hole in the hotel's curtains. If you're planning to be camping during summer months in Iceland, bringing your sleeping mask is a must. Once I forgot mine at home when I went to Lofoten Islands during summertime, right in the midnight sun months. And I ended up tying my scarf all around my eyes, which was not comfortable at all for sleeping. I also suggest you bringing your earplugs too, especially if you're staying nearby the waterfall or the river. Number 5. Avoid buying bottled water in the supermarket. Tap water in Iceland is among the purest in the world. It's neither chlorinated or fluorinated because there is no need for this. In fact, there are some tourists who tend to complain about Icelandic water and the lack of taste in it, because there is almost nothing in it. Just the water. So when you come into Iceland, make sure you will bring with you reusable flask and drink water which comes right out of your tap, instead of wasting your money on a bottled water. Not only this will save your money, but there is an additional benefit in helping the environment by not purchasing anything which is packed in a plastic bottle. We all know how long it takes for it to degrade. And still, if you fancy some sparkling water, there is a huge variety of it in every single supermarket in Iceland. Pro tip: you're never charged for a glass of water in any restaurant in Iceland. Number 6, and my major mistake: never do your grocery shopping in Iceland in 10-11. As 10-11 is probably the most common supermarket in Iceland, and I bet it's going to be at least one located super close to your hotel. These stores are open 24/7, which is really convenient, and they do have a lot of options for a quick bite, which is super cool when you're on the go. But if you're really on a budget and would like to save your money, I highly recommend you doing your grocery shopping in places like Bonus, KRONA or Netto. Number 7, and don't be fooled by the light beer in the supermarket in Iceland. That alcoholic drink, which is sold in all supermarkets around Iceland, is called Pilsner and contains less than 2.25% of alcohol. With such low alcohol content, this beverage is not beer, no matter that it looks like it. To buy alcohol in Iceland outside the bars and the restaurants, you need to go to a special government-run alcohol store called Vinbudin. Don't worry, there are plenty of them around capital area. These stores have a wide range of alcoholic products and they usually stay open from Monday to Saturday until 6 p.m. Just don't forget that on Sunday they closed. And not only that, you should also expect to pay high duties and taxes on alcohol in Iceland. Travelers who want to stock up usually load up at the airport, where alcohol is duty-free. Just be sure to follow the rules of how much alcohol you can bring inside the country duty-free. And by the way, there is zero tolerance to drunk driving in Iceland, same as Norway. For example, in Iceland, you can earn a fine of $750 and 2 months of losing your driving license just for one beer. And speaking about driving, number 8, and don't drive too fast. The speed limit in Iceland is from 30 to 90 kilometers per hour. You will always need to keep your eyes on officially published speed limits, since speeding tickets will be quite pricey here. For example, going 60 kilometers per hour where the limit is 50 will give you a fine of $80. Going 110 kilometers per hour in a zone of 90 kilometers per hour will cost you $400. Near residential areas, schools, hospitals, you will be expected to drive slowly. Going 60 kilometers per hour in a 30 kilometers zone will hurt you. $550 as a fine plus a loss of your driving license for 3 months. Not only that, in Iceland the fines usually start from 6 kilometers per hour above the speed limit. So even going a few kilometers above the official speed limit can get you pulled over. Number 9, and never drive off roads in Iceland. You might have seen some travel commercials where people driving around in a jeep at high speeds over sand or grassy hills having a blast, suggesting that it's absolutely fine to drive anywhere you want when you're in Iceland. And this is so far from reality. Off-road driving is taken very seriously in Iceland. If you are caught, you could be fined for up to $2,000, plus you will be required to fix the damage you caused. So, no matter what you see on the television and how harmless it looks, don't go off the road or trail on your vehicle when you're in Iceland. Number 10, don't worry about tipping your waiter in Iceland. Same as in Norway again. In Iceland, tipping a person who brings you food or drink is not required, not even encouraged. The price of meals and services accounts for the staff wages, so they don't expect you to leave them a tip. But it's not really forbidden either. So if you really feel like tipping, just go for it, it's absolutely fine. Number 11, and don't forget to exchange the leftovers of your Icelandic kronas before you leave Iceland. Just to let you know, Icelandic krona is a tiny currency which is almost never accepted by any bank outside Iceland. Number 12, and please don't throw your coins into the pools or hot springs in Iceland. I'm afraid to say that tossing your coin in a hot spring and casting a wish will only come true if you desire to release some heavy metals into Icelandic nature and water supply. So please keep your money in your pockets. Considering the prices on groceries in Iceland, you will end up really grateful for this. Number 13, and please don't go hiking alone in Iceland and don't ignore warning signs. While the nature in Iceland is so breathtaking, it's also dangerous. Every year tourists get lost or have accidents when they go hiking in isolated areas, while the local rescue teams find most. Unfortunately, some die due to exposure or are never seen again. So, if you want to go hiking in remote areas of Iceland, please go with a group, preferably a guided tour. And make sure that someone in your hotel knows about your plans and can also watch for your return. And also, please remember that warning signs are there for a reason. They are not merely erected as a precaution in case somebody might see. As many travelers might think, warning signs in Iceland are usually placed in the location where there is a real danger. And if you think that you know exactly what you're doing, you should remember that that warning sign was likely placed there because someone before you also thought that he knew what he was doing. Number 14, and my favorite one. Don't assume that everything you're going to be doing in Iceland will be expensive. I know that staying in Iceland can be pretty expensive. You will probably spend a handsome amount on food and accommodation and perhaps on transport too. Some tourists visiting Iceland tend to spend a fortune on tours, day trips and other activities, and they don't realize that there are plenty of things in Iceland you can actually do for free. Exploring Iceland on your own will save you a lot of money, and it also allows you to be independent while you're traveling. In my opinion, a combination of guided tours together with independent travel is the best way to go around Iceland. Hiking and bathing in natural geothermal pools are two of my absolute favorite activities to do in Iceland, and both of them are free. Number 15, and avoid or embrace Iceland's biggest tourist traps. As I mentioned in my previous videos, currently Iceland is experiencing a boost of tourism. Let me share with you some of the most popular destinations for the tourists. If you love crowds, visiting those touristic populated destinations will not be a problem for you. But if you're not a big fan of crowds and would like to avoid them, let me give you some other alternative options off the beaten track where you can have much fewer tourists. Number 1, and globally famous, the Blue Lagoon. I've had some tourists saying that it's paradise on earth, while other tourists describe it as a textbook example of a tourist trap. This pool is so popular that you will need to make your reservation weeks in advance and spend at very least $70 to get in. Where to go instead? Secret Lagoon, significantly cheaper and less crowded. The Golden Circle. Driving this 237 kilometers loop in the south of Iceland, you will see the Gullfoss, famous waterfall, Geyser Strakura, that famous geyser, Thingvellir, a national park, and tons of tourists. The Blue Diamond, a 50 kilometers loop with a lot more variety. A crater, a mud geyser, a lighthouse, geothermal and volcanic activities, and much more. Swimming pools near city center, so crowded during summer months that the locals avoid them entirely. See if you can find your way to the swimming pool in the suburbs. The more adventurous, you can check out Tolvik Beach, where you can even try to swim in the sea. A bus tour to the Northern Lights. In the winter, from November to February, lots of tourists are signing up for a bus tour to see the Northern Lights. These bus tours are usually extremely crowded and extremely expensive. What to do instead? Just drive yourself. Try to see the Northern Lights from the Grotta Lighthouse, from the peninsula. I'm sorry guys, I cannot pronounce it. Globally famous Jökulsárlón. I'm super sorry again for another attempt to pronounce Icelandic names. To visit this lagoon full of icebergs, you will battle for parking, stay long lines, and pay super extra. Try Fjalsárlón instead. Quite close to Jökulsárlón, sorry, but cheaper, quieter, and with significantly fewer tourists. Thank you so much for watching this one too, guys. Now you know what you should never ever do in Iceland. By the way, when you're planning to go there, what would be the main attraction of Iceland you're going to see? Please let me know in the comments down below. And as our tradition goes, I will see you next week, guys. Only God knows from which country now. Stay safe, be happy. I love you so much. I'll see you in a week time. Bye. Bye for now, guys. The light is gone. Bye.